I thought I would get a job, once again working for the government, and I would just be enjoying life. But where I ended up was the Twin Cities. I tell the story of how when they called me, they told me that I was going to be moving to the West Coast, and I couldn't do nothing but sit at my desk saying, the West Coast. I kept saying it over and over again, the West Coast, the West Coast. And then they told me, no, the Midwest. And my wife and I, we have a little thing, we chuckle about the fact when I told her we were moving to the Midwest, she said, the Midwest, and it was kind of like deja vu all over again. And she was talking about the Midwest and saying it over and over again. We just had, she was even saying, is there any African Americans in the Midwest? I told her, I said, there are going to be 2.
Well, at the time we came to Minnesota, we've actually traveled 26 miles to go back into the city to worship. And at some point we had come to the conclusion when my husband decided that the Lord had given him the release to plant a ministry, that we wanted to worship where we lived. And we actually lived south of the river, and we knew many other people of like belief lived on this side of town, and we wanted to worship where we live.
When we first started the ministry, it was a new process, a new feeling, never been a part of actually starting a church. I've been in church all my life, but never really in charge of actually starting one. And so a lot of responsibility, but I feel like I've grown as a leader. I feel like God has given me a lot of responsibility and is holding me accountable in a lot of areas in my own personal life. And I think I've been able to uphold some of the standards that He's given to me and actually help people in their lives as well, just by some of the responsibilities that I have. And I feel like I've grown tremendously in the short amount of time that we've actually been together.
Although they're my parents, above that, I really think that they're just awesome, and I truly believe that they have a heart for God's people and that they're genuinely desire to see people grow. And so any way that I'm able to help move the ministry forward, move the mission forward, I'm willing to do that.
My roles are I'm a preacher, teacher, love teaching the Word of God. I come from a family of pastors and evangelists and ministers, and if I thought about it, I really would have to be truthful and thought I would be on the East Coast, connected with my family on the East Coast, but I ended up in the Twin Cities because that was the plan that God had for my life. This is where we're at now. We're happy to be here. The thing that God said, and I laugh about it, because He said it's going to be an oasis in the desert, because there's a great need for the gospel to be in this area, and I believe that we have a ministry that really touched the hearts of the people that come in. It's a ministry of love, a teaching ministry that teach the gospel of Jesus Christ, and this is where we're at.
The funny thing is, when it first came up, I was like, oh great, there's a church going to be started. I didn't really know that I was going to actually be a part of it, but when I actually got word that there was something for me to do, I was ready and I was willing to actually take hold of the job. It was a new experience, just like anything that's new. You have some feelings of nervousness, you have some feelings of, oh, can I do it, or will I do a good job?
Some of the things that the Potter's House offered the community is a place of freedom. Many people that I meet and I talk to, then they go to other churches or places to worship, they feel like they're in a fishbowl. They're watched and they just don't feel comfortable. But the Potter's House is a place where you come to find like belief, the way we like to worship. We want to be free in our worship. We want to be friendly. We want to not to be the center of attention, but we want to feel a part of what's going on in the ministry. And that's what the Potter's House offers to the community.
I constantly find myself asking the Lord to guide me and help me to navigate how do I reach that person, to let them know that we're not here with an agenda to hurt them or take anything from them, but we're trying to show them the love of Christ.
since being at the Potter's House, being a part of a startup ministry, you get to learn about your strengths and even those things that maybe you've tried to hide over time. One of the things that I've learned while being at the Potter's House, or I've received confirmation about, is entering into ministry, knowing that you were created to serve.
We're in the second year of our capital campaign because it's our desire to have our own facility and have our own place of worship, because we do want our building. Matter of fact, if I say it, some people might think that I'm kind of out there, but the Lord did say that someone would sow a substantial amount of money into the ministry. So we are not waiting just for that, but we are doing different things to make ourselves so we can actually fulfill that obligation that the Lord has placed upon us. We could see ourselves in a facility that's able to, with the capacity to have an opportunity to minister to the youth. So, one of the things that even my daughter was saying the Lord had laid on her heart is actually putting together an after-school program to actually deal with the youth as they come in. So we're focused on youth, and our emphasis on getting a facility that would house, have enough room that we could set up programs and different things to actually house the youth and be able to minister to them. I think we do a pretty good job, but if we had our own facility, we could actually do that.
Among the prophetesses has become a... Now she called his name Judah.